what would you do? How would you do things differently to basically where I started 14 years ago? And I thought about it and thought, well, I'll go live and I'll talk to you about if I wanted to make $1 million in a year, $1 million of revenue in a year, what would be the things I would do? How would I get there? And I'd get there very different. I'd get there in a very different way than how I got there first time. So my first business, or my business that I run now, the current business, MAVERRIK, we got there with lots of smaller clients. Not like low ticket $200, but with lots of smaller clients, 4-figure clients. If I was starting from scratch today, nothing, no ad budget, no team, no nothing. Here's what I do. So the first thing I do is I would not sell anything under 10 grand. If you think to get to $1 million a year, you need to make 83,000 a month, $83,000 a month. So trying to do that with 4-figure clients, somebody paying you 5 grand, you need a lot of clients. You need 16 clients, 17 clients technically, 17 clients to get there. It's a lot of clients, and that's a lot of work. The more clients you need, the more marketing and selling you have to do. So I would shift my price point up, and I would change what I sell to 10 grand. So that means I'd need less clients. I'd maybe even push it to 20 grand. So I only need 4 or so clients every single month. That's my number one thing. So I'm selling a 20 grand thing and I only need 4 clients. The admin's easier, the stress, all of that stuff falls away because I've got less clients to service for the same money. So that makes my life way easier. I wish I'd have done that when I started out, but literally, today we have maybe 10 or 12 6-figure clients and 5-figure clients. The vast majority of our other clients are small businesses. So number one, if I'm going to start from scratch, I need to start from scratch and get to $1 million in a year of revenue. Number one, I would sell a 20K thing. Lots of big companies, your big tech companies, your large legal firms, your manufacturing businesses, all of those people will spend none of them will stress out about spending that kind of money, £20,000. It's a lot to an individual, but it's not a lot to a business, especially if I would target companies where their payroll bill is like, say, they've got 25, 30 people. So their payroll bill, if they're US or UK based, is going to be like 100,000. So 10 grand, 20 grand, one-off fee is nothing. So that's how I get to the million. I do it with 20 grand services. I have a 20 grand package. I only need 4 clients to get there, but I've got way more time. Then I would use LinkedIn. So I would focus on LinkedIn like I do now. Caprice, appreciate it. Thank you. I would focus on LinkedIn. And the reason I'd focus on LinkedIn is because I can find those companies really. Like, I love doing YouTube. I love doing this stuff. The hard bit is, like Caprice is commenting here, appreciate it a lot, but I have no idea, for an example, what Caprice does, what business it is. Do you know what I mean? But on LinkedIn, I can go, right, I want CEOs of companies with 200 staff, and I can find those people. And because I'm selling a high ticket £20,000 service, whether that be workshops and training for their sales team, that's probably what I do, training for the sales team, because sales teams always have a target on the back. They always need to grow. Marketing the same. There's always more. There's always more. There's always more. It never stops. I would target those companies selling sales training, and I would use LinkedIn to find them. I would share content. of course, post maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but I would add and connect with those CEOs, founders, owners, 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day. Now, bearing in mind, I only need 4 clients a month to get to my $1 million target. Why am I doing 10 a day? I'm doing 10 a day because the longer I'm connected to people, the easier it is to get a conversation. Like if I connect with somebody today, that's going to be a tough sell, especially at 20K. They need trust building, all that kind of stuff. So I'd be connecting, thinking ahead of myself and thinking, how many people will I need 6 months down the road to know me, like me, trust me? Start sharing content for the majority. And then what I'd probably do, or my big thing I'd do to get that million, I've got 6 or 7 new contacts coming into my network every single day. I've got to get one converted every single week. So I would devote an hour a day to building relationships with those people, an hour a day. I only need one a week, and I've made $1 million a year, one a week, one a week, one a week. So an hour a day to that. And then on top of that, and I mentioned this in the live earlier today, I would do LinkedIn live events, which I've been doing for 6 years, brought me 125,000 leads, all organic, no ads. I would do a LinkedIn events and speak to their problems and follow them up and propose my services. You can easily get 100 signups to a LinkedIn event in a month, and I would repeat that process. So I'm growing my network, sharing content, doing LinkedIn events, and following up, and that's how I'd get to the million. Now, I didn't do it that way. When I did hit the million the first time, I didn't do it that way. I made the mistake of going ultra low ticket. So £200, £300, and I did some 4 or 5K, but I got a lot. In my first million year, we did $1 million with 4,000 customers. 4,000 customers, all organic. But that's like a lot of work. It was very time consuming. It was hard. Now we do 2. So we're doing 2 million with a fraction of the customers, like 2,500 customers, something like that. So way less customers, but higher revenue than our first year. One of the simplest things you can do is, if you want to build a business and grow a business, is find that sweet spot of value that actually isn't too difficult to sell, isn't too tricky to sell, but actually you're not fighting to sell it, but also doesn't mean you have to get lots and lots of volume. And that's what I did the first time, and it worked, but it was hard and it was tough. Whereas now, starting out, I would go ultra small, high ticket, small number of clients. That's the safer option. And I know 20,000 might sound like a lot to many people who will watch this, but in a business terms, it's not. Even a smaller business would probably go, well, okay, it's 20,000. Can I pay you 6K a month for 3 months, kind of thing? If you pick the right customer. And I'll give you an example of this. My first client I ever got that paid me 6 figures, they paid me £155,000, which is just short of $200,000 for training and coaching. Yeah. And for me, that first time, that was insane. I was pinching myself. Now, I've done deals similar to that since. I've done a lot of them, but I was pinching myself because it was such a huge amount of money. And they paid it up front. I could not get my head around that because, I'd come from working class background. So that kind of money for me was just like, I can't even imagine it. I was giddy when it came in and I saw it on the bank. That was the cool bit. So I was quite giddy when I saw it land in my bag. Why did they pay that up front? Because they do 10 billion revenue a year. So this is small change. And so that's what the value of shifting your value up to a higher sale price. You actually target completely different businesses where actually their pain points are different, but also their appreciation for the size of, to a $10 billion organization, 200 grand is nothing. They're not just going to give it away, but at the same time, it's not a big deal. But 200 grand to a small business is huge. The hoops you'd have to jump through, and do you know what I mean? So when you shift up the value ladder, you start to sell to higher value clients, bigger clients, but also have a higher price point. It gets easier. So if I was starting from scratch to make $1 million in a year, a 20 grand offer, target larger companies, probably in sales and marketing, because there's a never ending need there. It's always got to improve. There's always things to do. So I've got lots and lots of scope. I'd do it on LinkedIn. I'd use Sales Nav to find the right people. I would then just literally start sharing content, number one. Number two, I would do a monthly event teaching and guiding to build authority, and I'd outreach and follow up those people. That's what I would do to get to the million if I was starting from scratch. So I'm going to try and do more of these. Dr. Chill, thank you so much. I've not done many LinkedIn live, YouTube lives like this before, but they seem to be doing okay so far. So I'll just keep going. And if you keep showing up, I'll keep doing it.